Greetings. This is a brief post today focused on the Bitcoin news and what's going on. As you know, today, or the 10th of December, is when options begin trading this afternoon in Chicago. And I believe that there's going to be a before and an after in terms of options trading relative to Bitcoin. The fact that Bitcoin has been accelerating in price, I think, for the last few weeks, and the amount is all driven by the introduction of these options. For those of you who don't know, I've sort of done some postings, and I'm looking forward to creating my page better. But I think I'm going to break this into two stages. Stage one is sort of a basic level. Stage two, about 4.5, 5 minutes, is more advanced. So I apologize if I go basic and it doesn't fit you. You may want to skip forward in the video. So one of my viewers asked me to introduce sort of Bitcoin for dummies. And an example of Bitcoin that was fascinating to me, and I learned this about 20 years ago, and I'm always amazed when I get a chance to discuss it, and that is, I believe in Zimbabwe, in Africa, they had a severe problem, which is hyperinflation. So people came up with a new technique of how to deal with it, which is they bought beer. So as soon as they got their money, they would buy beer, and then they were able to preserve, their money in the form of beer rather than in a currency that's quickly becoming worth nothing. So I bring this up relative to the beer because in the case of cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, we kind of have a similar phenomenon happening. Obviously, you can deal directly in currency, or you can deal in hard paper. And sort of the paperless, continuing on here, I wanted to note that there's a phenomenon happening here where the issue that's lurking is just the fact that there are people that are choosing to use, if you will, electronic currency in lieu of paper currency. And the example I gave you in Zimbabwe, which is one of the largest users of Bitcoin in the world in terms of percentage of population, is an illustration of how and why people are using it. Everybody's heard about drug dealers using it as a way to transfer money without having large amounts of cash handy. There are a lot of people in countries like China where there are capital controls, where they'll buy Bitcoin and use that as a way to transfer money from one location to another. So there's a lot of, if you will, shady ways in which Bitcoin is being used. But in general, it's basically a paperless currency element, and it has a lot of different elements to it that make it work better than using regular paper to do things. So that's sort of a quick sketch of my understanding of what is cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin is sort of the number one purveyor of this industry. There's a bunch of new currencies that are cheaper. Bitcoin is $15,000 right now approximately, but there are cheaper ones out there that you can get into that are sort of benefiting from this process. It's my belief that Bitcoin is sort of the biggest of the currencies because one of the issues is there's a whole discussion of the fact that there are actually some criminals that actually run the networks behind these Bitcoins. And based on having that situation, there's sort of a, hey, you could lose all your money if these guys do something crazy on the computers, sort of lurking phenomenon. And I think Bitcoin gets the benefit of not being considered so shady based on the number of establishment ways in which it's being used and implemented. So fast forward to now. So the reason Bitcoin has gone crazy on its price is the introduction of options and the options exchange at the CBOE in Chicago. So what this is about is the fact that all of a sudden people can now have a way to hedge the value of their cryptocurrency, meaning you can get insurance to protect losing all your money versus having the situation where you use your money to do Bitcoin, you can lose it all. So this potential is now bringing in institutional money and very large dollars where people could only do what they could afford to lose before. Now they can do money that they could afford to lose size amount because they can get insurance against their positions on the CBOE. So I think, so what's going to happen now, I think, is that I think prices will sort of steady, maybe maybe drop a little bit, and then I expect them to accelerate because the core idea that I think will occur that has been driving value is the volume of people getting to Bitcoin because of the new capabilities that are inherent that we just discussed. So the other problem, though, is that there are all kinds of amazing math whizzes that lurk within the commodities world and amazing computers that can do really great stuff. And the challenge is that they can make a huge amount of money by sort of tweaking the system very gently and having a whole bunch of people pay them, despite the fact that what they're doing until the government figures it out is somewhat illegal. But at minimum, at least you have a transparent vehicle that can operate as an insurance product against your ownership. So that's the huge deal about the introduction of options today. And I think it's a huge change for cryptocurrency. I think it's a huge change in history. And I expect it, I'm covering it because I think it's going to be mind-blowing and it's going to change the future of everything because of money and its importance to everyone. Look forward to any and all comments. This is Greg for Tesla Fans Insight. Juste un coup, au revoir, la hit road.